Okay, just going to try and show a quick way here to change a tyre, Josh, if you ever get a flat at all. So I'm using this pretty big jack here. You're not going to have access to one of these, but you'll have a smaller jack which you can pop under. This is the rear of the car. You always want to find a spot under here. It's normally where you've got this little gap. I don't know if you can see that. With the current jack is kind of positioned, it's like a little, you can see a little bit of gap right there, whereas the rest of it goes straight across. You want to position the jack right there and start jacking the car up. So it doesn't matter what jack you're using, whether it's one of these or just a little small bottleneck type jack, or the one that comes with the car. You position it under there. That's the most strongest point. Just to give you an example, if you get a front flat tire, you get under here around the front area and you're going to find a similar, I don't know if I can get back here, there we go. You can see there someone's tried to jack it up before, and around about that area just here, that's where you're going to put your jack. You don't want to put it on one of these flat areas here. These here spots are made for extra pressure, so they're more solid and less likely to bend the metal. So usually a car will come with one of these. Sometimes they don't. Problem is that you put it on, if I can get it on one of these here real quick. No, not that one. You turn it around, it's got different sizes. So you get that on there, it's a good fit. It doesn't, well actually no, that does wiggle a little bit too much. Let's try another size. Okay, that one might be better. There we go, it's a good snug fit. No wiggle room there. You wiggle it, it's not moving. Okay, so problem is, if the lug nuts are really kind of taut, strong, it's going to be hard to get it off. So you can put all your weight on this, push it down, and it's not going to go anywhere. You need a little bit more leverage. So if you try using one of these and it's knocking the lug nuts off, I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so we've got a couple of these down here and put ourselves a little 19-inch deep well socket, and we're going to put that on the end of this little thing here. Just going to push it on like that. Okay, now this is going to give you a lot of extra torque because of how long it is. It's going to fit onto the lug like that. Hard to do one-handed. There we go, but that is on. And you're going to go in an anti-clockwise direction, so I'm going to be pulling down like this. It's hard to do with one hand, so I'm going to put the camera down for a second while I just break that. Okay, so that did break free. You can see now that is freely turning there. So now we've broken one of them, we'll pull it out, put it onto another. If we can get that on, that would be great. I don't have to reposition it, so we've got more room to pull it down. Okay, there we go. So we're in the upward position and we're going to pull the car. It's very kind of tough here. You can see it's just starting to move right now. There we go. So we just loosened that one and we're going to go on to the next ones. The bars down here are actually called breaker bars, and they're called breaker bars because when you have to break something loose that's really tight, you have different lengths of breaker bars. For something that's really difficult to get off, you want to use a longer breaker bar. If it's just kind of like mildly difficult, you would just use a short breaker bar. But the more longer the breaker bar is, the more leverage you get. And just loosened up all those lug nuts there. So now we're going to use something smaller. I'm going to add our 19-inch socket onto that, and it's going to be easy to get those off now. Okay, this is just a ratchet, a medium-sized ratchet, and we just position this little thing here. You can either do it that way or to the side. If you do it this way, it's going to tighten the lug nuts back up. We don't want that. We want to loosen them. So to loosen them, that will allow it to spin the lug nut in an anti-clockwise direction like that. But of course, you just have to go like this, and it comes off pretty easily. Hard to do one hand because you do need to hold with your left hand the actual socket, otherwise it's going to start turning like that and not actually undoing. But that's pretty much it. So then same with these ones. It's going to need 2 hands, so I'll put this phone down for a sec. When they get too loose, you can actually just get rid of the ratchet at this point. Press the button there that will release the socket from the ratchet, and that way you can just hand turn it the rest of the way. Because at some point you don't really need the ratchet and it just kind of spins on itself, doesn't really do too much, and then the little lug nuts will come off. Same thing with all these, just hand turn them. Okay, this one's still a little bit stiff, so we'll have to use the ratchet on that one. We can just hand turn that. I'll probably just have to put the ratchet on this just one for a second. Just kind of push it on there like that. Alright, give me a second. Okay, we do have a lot of weight kind of on this wheel right now, so we probably want to get this jacked up before we take that last one off. You can see the wheel is starting to just tilt some, so we want to jack this up. Okay, we'll just make sure that's positioned right here. Alright, we need to bring it over a little bit more. Okay, that jack is positioned better now. So I'm just going to pull this handle, and that's going to get this wheel off the ground. You can see that wheel did move then. We took the pressure off it, and now that the wheel is kind of off the ground some, you can see there, we can get that last little lug nut off. It should just hand turn, but I guess not. Let's just finish taking it off with this. Okay, and hand turn it the rest of the way. There we go. Put this over in a safe spot. Okay, and now we're going to get this other jack under here as well. In order to get that jack under, we're going to have to get the car up a little bit higher to be able to do that. So see if we can get that under there. Yep, that is perfect. That's just going to be added support. So it's not going to take the full weight of the car, but you can see we just put the jack kind of centered underneath that little piece there, like that. So when it lowers, it will rest on the top of that jack. So I'm going to release the jack handle by turning it slightly, just a little bit. There we go, it's just lowering now a little bit onto that jack stand. There we go, and then we're going to tighten up again by tightening and turning the handle clockwise, and that stops that jack, the red one, from coming down any further. So let's have a look and see. Yep, we've got the car now resting on that second jack for some added support, and it's still on this jack here too, which is good. You can see it's not touching the actual metal of the car, the actual body of the car, which you don't want. So that's good. It's just kind of pressing and putting pressure on the inner piece, which is what we want. Okay, so now it's going to be easier to get this wheel off. There we go. And we're going to roll that out of the way. Actually, these tires are brand new. They've got awesome tread on them, which is great. Okay, so press that here. Alright, so now we're going to basically redo everything else like we did to the other side, but the purpose of this video is just going to show you how to change a flat tire if ever you don't have any help and you're stranded somewhere. Basically, once you get that tire off, which is going to be probably messed up at that point, if you do get a flat, this is all going to be busted and torn. but your rim should still be good. So you never want to drive on a rim, on a good rim like that especially. If you can pull over to the side of the road as quickly as possible, that's your best bet. Otherwise you can mess up the rim, and it's always hard trying to find another original. So always try and protect your rim. What you probably want to do is, every car has a spare tire, so you're going to pop your trunk. Let's pop this up real quick. And just underneath here is where your spare is kept. And you're just going to undo that little thing there. You're going to get this donut out. This is the donut. And that donut is a smaller size version of all the rest of the tires. It's not a full-size tire. So it's only supposed to get you to basically a gas station or a mechanic or somewhere safely, but you don't want to ride on that more than you need to. It's just a temporary tire, and that's it. And then what you'll do is you'll take your rim to a tire place, and they will match up a tire to go with the rim. The size of this tire is a 225 55 R17. So you're just going to ask, do you have any 225 55 17s? And most tire shops do have them in use. They should be around $30 or $40, and they will put the new tire, or the used tire at least, back onto your rim, and then they will then put that back onto your car. But that's pretty much what you do if you're ever stuck. If you do have to use a donut yourself, which you probably would have to do at some point, you would just basically just push the donut straight onto those studs there. And what you're going to do is you're going to get your little lug nuts, those things there, and just fasten them and tighten them back onto these little studs. So the best thing to tighten it would be using one of these in the trunk if you have it. Most spares do come with tools to be able to do that. If you don't have that, using a breaker bar, actually that's just going to break it loose, but using a ratchet with a, let's see what size socket there was. I think that was a 19 millimeter. Let me have a look here. 19 millimeter, yeah. So using a 19 millimeter, doesn't matter if it has to be a little bit deep well. It doesn't have to be too deep. But anyway, okay, so that's pretty much what you do.